G'day everyone. When I first bought Hearts 4, I was lost. I had no idea where to begin, and the in-game tutorial is pretty much non-existent. I hadn't even really played other Paradox games to have a vague idea of what I was getting myself into. Now, 3 or so years and 2,500 hours later, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to jump in and play this game and have a great time doing it. This and future guides will assume that you're using the base version of the game with no mods or DLCs. What is Hearts 4? Hearts 4, or HOI 4, is a grand strategy war game produced by Paradox Interactive, where you can take command of any country which was around during World War II and lead them through the war or through your own non-historical story. You have complete control over the direction you lead your country in, whether it's your government type, your industry, both civilian and military, what advancements you research, the composition of your air, sea and land forces, and much, much more. You can take command of the German Reich and either lead them through the historical pathway, which really occurred in World War II, or bring back the Kaiser or turn them into a democratic Germany. Or you can play as the United States and have a communist revolution, overthrow your government, and form an alliance with the USSR. Honestly, your options are endless. How to play. The game and its settings can be a little bit confusing for some people, so let's jump in and look through that now. HOI 4 has a launcher, and I would recommend that you use it when playing the game. Here you can activate any DLCs or mods that you might have, as well as change your game settings. Borderless full screen and DX11 work best for me with the least amount of crashes. Honestly, the game is pretty stable without mods, so you shouldn't have too much trouble. If your game does crash, however, when restarting, I would recommend that you go into game settings in the launcher, scroll down to the bottom and clear the user directory. If you're having issues, this will often fix it. On the home screen, you can choose between your different play sets that you can make which contain various mods. For this guide, we won't be using any of those. Clicking play will launch the game. Before we actually play the game itself, in the options menu, I would recommend that you set the autosave interval to weekly, just so if you crash, you're not losing a whole bunch of progress. I would also uncheck the NATO symbols if it's activated and turn on pause on notifications. While you're learning, this will help you a lot and you can turn it off at any time. In the video section, the only thing I would recommend is to make sure that you're on borderless and change your UI scaling to 1.2. It's going to make a lot of the icons a lot easier to read, especially if you're on a wide monitor like me. Select single player, create a new game, and this is where we come to the first setting, which will determine how your game plays out. The two options change the start date for the game, with 1936 being the most common one and what I would recommend that you use. Next, you can choose which country you would like to play from this menu. The 7 countries along the top are considered major powers. They're the strongest in terms of both military and economic might. The other countries below are minor powers, still respectable depending on their starting circumstances and able to become a major in their own right through your expert leadership. All the countries featured on this screen have unique focus trees, which are the unique flavor in HOI 4, which helps each country feel like it has its own identity. In terms of good nations to start with, I would recommend Italy for your first few games. They start out the game at war with Ethiopia, and it gives you a chance to practice the combat over and over until you get the hang of it. Once the war is over with Ethiopia, just restart and go again and again and again. The other option that you see here is other countries. By selecting this, it opens up the world map where you can left click on literally any country which is around at the start of the war and opt to play them, even a country like humble little Peru. This is actually the second country I'd recommend playing as while you're learning. They're who I started with when I began playing, and I found that they start out in a position where they're not directly threatened by anyone, but as a fascist government, you can go ahead and declare war on whoever you like. It's a nice, easy-paced way to learn. After your first few games as Italy and or Peru, once you've got a handle on most of the basic concepts, then you can have a bit of a look at a country like Germany. Just before we continue, if you are enjoying this video and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment and a like down below. It will really help the YouTube gods bless your algorithm with more HammoTime videos. Once you've selected your country of choice, in the bottom right you can adjust the difficulty level and choose from the other 2 settings which will influence the way your game plays out. Iron Man mode and historical AI focuses. Iron Man mode is the same as in every other game. There's no saving and reloading if you make a mistake. It does also allow you to get achievements if you're on a regular difficulty or higher, and while you're learning, I would leave this off. Once you get to the point of playing a larger country like Germany though, switch it back on as you'll learn to fix your mistakes as you play, rather than just reloading before them and preventing them from happening in the first place. Historical AI focuses determines what the rest of the countries will do in your game. With this selected, they'll follow predetermined paths through their focus trees in line with what happened in real life. For history lovers, this is likely to be your preferred way to play. Unchecking this option will leave the other countries in the game free to take random paths through their focus trees, leading to really unpredictable outcomes like the Tsars returning to Russia, the fascist black shirts coming to power in the UK, or a peasant uprising happening in Poland. While you're learning, I would strongly recommend for you to leave historical focuses on. It'll just make your games a bit more predictable and measurable so you can see what works and what doesn't. Once you hit start, you're loaded into the game and ready to start playing. If you want to learn more, stick around to watch one of these next videos.